Hi, my name is Angela. I'm a children book writer, and I'm trying to make in this channel a kind of place that I can talk about my favorite books. And one of them is Homecoming. I have already talked about it in Portuguese, but this is the only book that I have, only copy that I have that's in English. There is no translation to Portuguese yet. It's a really pity. And so that's why I'm doing this in English, because you can have the copy and we Brazilian can't. I'm Brazilian. In my country, we speak Portuguese. Like you, American, you speak English, the colonizer language. So this is Homecoming. Homecoming, I got in touch with this wonderful book when I watched the movie, a Hallmark production. And it was the star of the movie was this wonderful, gorgeous woman that unfortunately is not with us anymore. That's Anne Bancroft. Oh my God, she was beautiful and a wonderful actress. I watched this movie and it moved me, and I got really interested in it. And when I read the final credits, I read that it was based on a book. So I had to search this book, and I found it at Amazon, of course. And then I bought it, and I felt in love. I fell in love with this book, and I bought all the other ones that Cynthia Voigt had written. And there is one that's really precious, and it should be in all schools, and every person should read about it. That's when she hurls. Yes, I think that's the name. When she roars, when she does something like this, and she screams. I'm not with a copy here today. I lent it. Yes, I think that to my. I think it was. I don't know to whom I did it, but anyway, this book, it's a jewel. It's precious. What is about? It's about a family, four siblings that go through the United States coast, uh, trying to reach their aunt's house, that aunt's home. Why? It starts beautifully. I'm gonna read it how it starts because it's really something special. That's why I'm doing this in English, because in Portuguese I couldn't read this. The woman put her sad moon face in at the window of the car. You be good, she said. You hear me? You little ones, mind that what Dicey tells you. You hear? Yes, Mama, they said. That's all right then. She slung her purse over her shoulder and walked away. Her stride made uneven by the broken sandal thongs. Thin elbows showing through holes in the oversized sweater, her jeans faded and baggy. When she had disappeared into the crowd of Saturday's morning shoppers entering the side doors of the mall, the three younger children leaned forward onto the front seat. Dicey sat in front. She was 13, and she read the maps. So in this paragraph, you already know what is happened. This mother goes away. All the signs are here in this paragraph. And she says, "Mine Dicey." So we know that Dicey is the oldest. Again. Anyway. And so, who were they? In this dialogue, she's so precious that she shows us the personality of each child. We have here Sam. Sam was stubborn. He was 6, and he was he was a hard guy. He was a hard guy. Then we had Maybeth. Maybeth was a kind of beautiful girl. She was 9, but she was a little bit slow and very, very shy. She was a little bit slow in her learning. And then we had Jamie. Jamie, no, Jamie was 10 years old and he was a very smart guy. He knew everything. He loved to learn, to study. He was a bright guy. And Dicey. Dicey was this kind of adolescent. That's not a really. She was a grown up girl, but she was 13. Only 13. She was a child. She was a kid. And they stayed there in the car to pass the time. That's a very clever thing that the author put in the book. They asked Jimmy to tell a story. And what story he told them? Hansel and Gretel. And then we have the sign of what's going to happen during this book. And it is a thick book, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's not a book that you can read in a whole day. You have to have at least 2 days in quarantine to read it all because it is divided into parts. The first part is what we're going to talk about now. And so what Dicey decided, at first her mother doesn't come back. So what she does, well, they're hungry. They have some biscuits in the car. So they go to the shop, to the mall, and there they have hamburgers, Coke, something like this. They had $10 in the car, but her mother does not come back. And Dicey feels that she knows why, because as she was the oldest, she knew that her mother had some abscess before. Her mother was different. They lived in a very shaggy house. She was just an awful house. And they lived, but nearby the beach. And they were left to themselves usually. And so they knew how to build a fire, for instance, because they had a lot of picnics on the sand. And she knew that her mother had some problems. They didn't have a father. Her father had gone away when they were really young. Dicey was the only one who could remember how the father looked. Her mother had lost her job. She knew that they couldn't come back home because they didn't have a home anymore. They haven't paid the rent. So what she thought, okay, mother's not coming. She knew that something had happened to her. So what are you gonna do? You're going to do what mother was intending to. We were leading to Aunt Scylla's home, and that's where we are going to. First, she wants to know how much the tickets to go there cost. So she goes to a telephone booth and she telephones and she knows that they didn't have enough money to pay the tickets. And the security guard comes and he mistakes her for a guy. And he said, "What's your name?" And she said, "Danny." "Okay, you were the one who broke my window." "No, no, I didn't do it." And she ran away from him and she knew that they were in trouble. They couldn't be there. They had to go. They had to leave the parking lot and they had to go. So they did. And the next day, and she had to think of food, money, and how they were going to. She had a map. And she calculated that in 2 days they would arrive, but in reality it was more than 2 days, a lot more weeks. And they start walking, and this is what is beautiful in this book. They dialogue. And in this dialogue, although they were children, the problems that are put there in this dialogue is the problem that we adults, we deal with them. And how they deal with the problem and how they think of the problems and how it's wonderful. It's a lesson. It's a life lesson. Well, I was so enchanted by this book that I wrote to the writer, and she wrote me back very politely, not with enthusiasm, but anyway, politely, because I am a children's book writer too, So I got really, really enthusiastic about the book, but she didn't care. I think that she used to having crazy people writing her. And this book has received a lot of prizes. Yeah, and mentions and things. It is wonderful. And then they go on. So, in the first part of the book, we know what they did to survive. So, we know that Dicey washed windows. We know that they carry shopping bags and parking lots. We know that they got in touch with two adolescents that were running away. They were girlfriend and boyfriend, and they were running away, and they were very happy, and they knew something about them, and they stayed there with them during 3 days. And what is very special in this book also is that all the places that they pass by, they really exist. She makes up two things. One place that she changes the name of the place. I don't know why. I think perhaps she puts she made up a different name, but sounds like it's a kind of Indian name, I think. In the other place that it's a park, and she puts in the same place, but she makes an ideal park, a park where you can camp and you can fish, and that's why they do not starve. And there we know what they think about stealing, because some Sam, he stole the leftovers of a family. He saw them that they had eat the picnic and they were already stuffed, and while they were doing the other things, he ran and picked up the bags, and there was bread and ham. I don't know what else. I don't remember. And beside that, there was a wallet. And wallet, Dicey would not let them. It was $20 inside the wallet. It would make a lot of difference. But Dicey did not let him and said, you're not going to steal them. And so she goes back to the place where they should have missed the. And the man was talking, oh my God, who are they? Come on, who is the person who can steal food? Imagine, just United States can think something like this. This is so common, isn't it? Anyway, and then she throw the wallet. She throws it, and they go back, and they continue running and walking to Aunt Sila's home. That is the first part of the book. In the second part of the book, what happens? Okay, they see a sign, help wanted, to pick up tomatoes. You pay some cents, and they accept the work, and there were a lot of bugs and mosquitoes in the field, but the man was a mean one. This is the only part of the book that we have a kind of cliche, when we have this very mean man that he would take advantage of the kids, and he was a awful guy. In this part, what Dicey does, she saw that she had to have thought it better, but she gets away of running away from him in a very clever way, and they arrive to a circus that they had already been there once, and the owner of the circus really was a very nice guy, but this awful man, they go after them. They say that he was the father, and she said, no, he's not our father anyway. No. And the circus guy believed them, because the man called him the N word. So the circus guy, they took them into their arms, and they started working at the circles, but they're having fun. They could have fun. The circles was this kind of place that they had swings and sliders and things to do besides the show itself. And they stayed there doing some time because she told them that they were going to Aunt Scylla's home. Before that, they had already had some friends, and a lot of people appears during this way. And what happens? She they stay there. Maybeth and Sam appears in the show, and that's what is fantastic about this author. She's wonderful describing feelings. She's wonderful describing the scenery. But this is a story of them in the circus. She doesn't say a word. She just tells us, okay, Maybeth and Sam, they work. And this could be a whole story itself, isn't it? Two kids working in a circus. But anyway, but she doesn't. She leaves that to our imagination. She had another stuff to talk about. And so the circle leaves them at last in the city, the town because come on, Angela. Before that, before this whole stuff, they went to Aunt Scylla's home. My God, I always forget this part. I don't know why. I always forget this part. When they get there, Aunt Scylla's not there anymore. It's just Aunt Eunice. Aunt Eunice, it's a very, very religious woman. And she wanted to be a nun, imagine. And she is not happy in having those kids. She's not happy at all because she was ready to be a nun now that Aunt Scylla had died, had passed away. So she could do it, but she does not. So she have those kids, and now they learn that what happened with the mothers, because Aunt Scylla went to the police and searched and so on, and then they sold the car. Dicey took the money and hid it. And because Aunt Scylla told her, I can't, it's my God's duty. It's God's duty to take care of you. But I can't have Sammy and Maybeth, because Maybeth is slow. She has to go to special school. She's a little bit retarded. Dicey was really, really mad. She's not retarded. She's not. She's just a slower. But, she's not retarded. And Sammy was this kind of guy that would not have a suit lay down. He would not. So he was always coming home with bruises, and he fought, and he was a very serious guy. And she said, I can't have them. So it's better if they go to another place. Oh, come on, they would be split. And this Dicey would not let. That's why they ran away again. And Jamie was really happy because Jamie loved to study. So he was there and he was studying. And then that's why they go to the tomatoes place and so on, because all the time, Dicey had already a lot of money because she washed the windows. And schools will be starting because this was always during summer vacations. And so they ran away, and then they met the guy, the circus guy, and so on and so on and so on. Anyway, and so the circus guy, he left them at the place where, because she learned that they had a grandma. This where Anne Bancroft enters in the movie. She is the grandma. When they go to this grandma house and they said, okay, this is our place because this is the place where our mother grew up. And what is funny is because during the first part of the book, Jamie, every day when he wakes up, he says, Oh, it's still true. Like they were living in a nightmare. And now, the second part of the book, there is another thing that's repeated because they go there, and this grandma was not happy at all of seeing them. She was a kind of witch, just like Hansel and Gretel story. She lived in this house. It was very old. She didn't care about the house. The food was terrible, didn't taste good. But she already knew were, who they were, because she had received a letter from Aunt Eunice telling that they were going there because Dicey left a note. And um, Dicey said, okay, so we are going to stay here just one night. And the next morning, Dicey thought, oh, come on, we have to stay here. We don't have to go. What we are going to do, we can't go on and walking around. They have to study. Jamie love his study, and we have to make money. I can't work anymore. I can't work because I'm just 13. And what are you gonna do? So she tells the brothers and sisters, siblings, and she says, "Come on, we have to make ourselves useful." So they start trimming the trees and trimming the plants, and then washing up the windows. And every time that the grandmother would say Abigail. I don't know even how to pronounce it in English. Abigail. It would be Abigail. Abigail. So every time that Abigail would say, "Come on, are you going away today?" And they said, "No, no, we still have something to do." And the time would pass. This is in the first part of the book. If Jamie wakes up and said, "Come on, is it still true?" In the second part of the book, what is repeated is, "Are you going today?" "No, we have something to do. We have another thing to do. There are windows to wash. There we have," and they can stuff, and and Dicey sees that there is a boat, and then she learns that her mother had a brother, and he had passed away. He was a soldier, and he passed away, and so that's why. And but she liked to be there, and that's a very special phrase. This is a Brazilian song. I don't know if you were listening to it, you can hear it. It's a typical Brazilian rhythm. It's a wonderful song anyway. So I'm going to close because otherwise I cannot think and pay attention to the music. I have this neighbor that he plays music every noon. Anyway, so she goes, where was I? She and she says to her brother, Aunt Eunice was a bad enemy, but our grandma is a good enemy. Because there they could swim, Aunt Eunice, this is a wonderful phrase. Let's see if I can repeat it because I I mark it. She says that Anthony, the price of being fed by Anthony was too high because they had to be thankful all the time, all the time. They have to be thankful. Anyway, time passes, and school time is arriving and then Grandma tells them why she couldn't be with them. She said, "I am old. I don't have money, and you need more than what I can give you." But she thinks over, and then she because what the problem was, the place where they were beautiful. They could see drawings on the walls. It was It was very nice place. There was a piano, and they could be free. And when they went to school, Grandma said to the teacher, "Okay, they are going to be just a period of time with me. It's not for good." And they tell them that they have the records that they had at all the schools, and they say, "Okay, this Maybeth is behind. She was still in the second grade. She was 9." And then they ask, "Do you want to be in?" And the awful part is that Sam was in the second grade too. And the teacher said, "Do you want to be the same class?" And Maybeth says, "No." Why? Because I am bigger than him. So the teacher says, "Okay, you're gonna." She makes some tests, and she goes, "Okay, so you can go to the third grade, and but you have to make an effort." And she said, "Okay, I will." And Jamie was really glad to study, but she says, "Well, Dicey, you are too old. You cannot be in this elementary school anymore. You have to go to junior high." And Dicey thought, "Okay, I'm growing." And of course, there is a happy ending where Dicey and the siblings and brothers and sisters, they stay with this special lady as her grandma. Her grandma tells them at last what made her be like this. That is why I had a literature teacher that she taught me something that I can never forget. She said that, "Angela, a book for children is a book that children can also read. That is a good book. So this book, it can be meant for teenagers, but it's a book that a teenager can read because it's a book for adults, because there are a lot of things to think about here. And we should do it in class and work. Of course, that not all teenagers would like to read a book this thick, but it is here. And then I love reading the endings and the beginnings of the book. What happens? And the Abigail tells what happened, why the mother had run away. Because, as Jamie said, okay, she's not so bad. Why the children left her? And she told that she was married, and she was married to a very strict man, and she couldn't be herself. And that's why she didn't want kids also, because she was herself for the first time in her life. She could walk barefooted if she wanted to. She could do everything that she wanted. She didn't have anyone to tell her, "Okay, you cannot have a hair like this, you cannot do this and that." And she could be. And that's why when Dicey's mother, the children's mother, left home, it was because she didn't want to get married. And the mother, she was so tied up to all those rules that she let her child go away. And now her child was in this hospital catatonic. Anyway, and then the last part is a dialogue, wonderful dialogue, as all the dialogues of Cynthia Voigt. And as I said, "I'll have to write her to her again," Graham said, as if the idea gave her no pleasure. "Graham," Dicey said. Her grandmother looked down at her again. "The boat. The sailboat in the barn. Can I fix it up and sail it? Can I have it?" "Do you know how to sail?" "No, but I could learn. Could you teach me? This is what is wonderful in this book, because every time that she knows, I don't know, but I can learn. And we should have this as a lesson. I do not know Japanese. I cannot speak Japanese. I can speak French. I can speak Italian. I can speak Spanish. I can speak my language, not very well, but I do. But I cannot speak Japanese, but I can learn. Yeah, you can never forget that. If I have to, if I want to. German, for instance, for me is a little bit difficult because the way that German goes with the sentence and it's upside down for me. But anyway, I try to, and I will not get lost in Germany. If sometimes this parenting pass. Anyway. So it goes, yes, Graham said, yes, what? Dicey asked. Yes to both. And no more questions. Not until I get my shoes off. Because she was wearing shoes. They had gone to the city. And Graham climbed down into the boat and held it steady against the dock while the little children jumped in. James threw the painter down to Dicey and leaped down himself. Ready to go home? Graham asked Dicey. She was smiling. And Dicey just grinned back. Ready, she said. So now it's home. And then it's wonderful because you see that you can have a sequel here. Okay, hope you like it. Bye bye. See you next time.